Hello everyone. I'm going into Judges now in the New King James, and we have been through Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and Joshua. And a lot of this has been, starting with the creation and so forth, and then the movement, people moving, people taken into Egypt not treating them very well, their escape, and then heading for Canaan. The Lord had given the the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob the land of Canaan, and it's been an interesting reaction to all of this by the people. So here in Judges, we're in the continuing conquest of Canaan. And I'll read the first chapter, like I have been, just to get you started. And again, my goal here has been to give you a reading of the scriptures in somewhat of an abbreviated form, which I try to do, but I get so involved with the stories that I scan, I read while you're there, and it kind of delays a little bit, but I don't know, I just think it's important that the Bible is read and understood as best as possible. Okay, so anyway, the first chapter, the continuing conquest of Canaan. Now after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, "Who shall be first to go up for us against the Canaanites to fight against them?" Highlighted here. And the Lord said, "Judah shall go up. Indeed, I have delivered the land into his hand." So Judah said to Simeon, his brother, "Come up with me to my allotted territory, that we may fight against the Canaanites, and I will likewise go with you to your allotted territory." And Simeon went with him. Then Judah went up, and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand, and they killed 10,000 men at Bezek. And they found Adoni-Bezek in Bezek, and fought against him. And they defeated the Canaanites and the Perizzites. Then Adoni-Bezek fled, and they pursued him and caught him and cut off his thumbs and his big toes. Whoa. Can you imagine in this day and age that would happen? And today being July 13th, 2014, and Adoni-Bezek said, quote, 70 kings with their thumbs and big toes cut off used to gather scraps under my table, as I have done, so God has repaid me. Then they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died, meaning Adoni-Bezek, Adoni-Bezek. Anyway, then they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Now the children of Judah fought against Jerusalem and took it. They struck it with the edge of the sword and set the city on fire. And afterward the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites, who dwelt in the mountains in the south and in the lowland. Then Judah went against the Canaanites who dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron was formerly Kirjath Arba. And they killed Sheshal, Ahiman, and Talmai. From there they went against the inhabitants of Debir. The name of Debir was formerly Kirjath Sepher. Then Caleb said, whoever attacks Kirjath Sepher and takes it, to him I will give my daughter Aksha as wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, so he gave him his daughter Aksah as wife. Now it happened, when she came to him, that she urged him to ask her father for a field. And she dismounted from her donkey, and Caleb said to her, what do you wish? She said to him, give me a blessing, since you have given me land in the south. Give me also springs of water. And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. Now the children of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up from the city of palms with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lies in the south near Arad, and they went and dwelt among the people. And Judah went with his brother Simeon, and they attacked the Canaanites who inhabited Zephath and utterly destroyed it. So the name of the city was called Hormah, Hormah. Also Judah took Gaza with its territory, Ashkelon with its territory, and Ekron with its territory. And just to comment, Gaza, in the news this year, 2024, Gaza attacked Jerusalem. Anyway, that was thousands of years later. Anyway, so the Lord was with Judah, and they drove out the mountaineers, but they could not drive out the inhabitants of the lowland, because they had chariots of iron. And they gave Hebron to Caleb, as Moses had said. Then he expelled from there the 3 sons of Anak, and Anak were the giants. But the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites who inhabited Jerusalem. So the Jebusites dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem to this day. And the house of Joseph also went up against Bethel, and the Lord was with them. So the house of Joseph sent men to spy out Bethel. The name of the city was formerly Luz, L-U-Z. And when the spies when the spies saw a man coming out of the city, they said to him, please show us the entrance to the city, and we will show you mercy. So he showed them the entrance to the city, and they struck the city with the edge of a sword, and they let the man and all his family go. And the man went to the land of Hittites, built a city, and called it Luz, which is its name to this day. To this day, meaning when this book was written. Okay, so that first chapter about the Canaanites fighting, still fighting. Okay, now I'm going to try to do just the subheadings. I'll try my best. Incomplete conquest of the land. That's self-explanatory. Israel's disobedience. Death of Joshua. So the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders who outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great works of the Lord which he had done for Israel, Now Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died when he was 110, and they buried him within the border of his inheritance at Timnath Heres in the mountains of Ephraim. When all that generation had been gathered to their fathers, another generation arose after them who did not know the Lord, nor the work which he had done for Israel. That's interesting. Israel's unfaithfulness. The nations remaining in the land, and it looks like this is going to be writings about those nations that remain. So Othniel, Ehud, Shamgar, Deborah, the song of Deborah. Then Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinoam, sang on that day, saying, and their song is long. So the land had rest for 40 years. The land, I'm assuming, Canaan. Midianites oppress Israel. And I'm gathering here that this may also be the people that had been left, like it said earlier, and they didn't know the works of Joshua. So they didn't know the history behind the land. Gideon destroys the altar of Baal. And that's a good thing, because Baal was evil. He was evil. The sign of the fleece. So Gideon said to God, if you will save Israel by my hand, as you have said, look, I shall put a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew on the fleece only, and it is dry on all the ground, then I shall know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you have said. And it was so. When he rose early the next morning and squeezed the fleece together, he wrung the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. Then Gideon said to God, do not be angry with me, but let me speak just once more. Let me test, I pray, just once more with the fleece. Let it now be dry only on the fleece, but on the ground let there be dew. And God did so that night. It was dry on the fleece only, and there was dew on the ground. Gideon's valiant 300. This is a long one, but I'm assuming that is 300 of his people. Another war. Gideon subdues the Midianites. Gideon's ephod. I don't know what ephod means. E-P-H-O-D. I'll have to look that up, but maybe it will be explained. Oh, okay. Then the men of Israel said to Gideon, "Rule over us, both you and your son and your grandson also, for you have delivered us from the hand of Midian." But Gideon said to them, "I will not rule over you, nor shall my son rule over you. The Lord shall rule over you." Then Gideon said to them, "I would like to make a request of you, that each of you would give me the earrings from his plunder." For they had golden earrings, because they were Ishmaelites. So they answered, "We will gladly give them." And they spread out the garment, and each man threw into it the earrings from his plunder. Now the weight of the gold earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold. Besides the crescent ornaments, pendants, and purple robes which were on the kings of Midian, and besides the chains that were around their camels' necks, this Gideon made it into an ephod and set it up in his city, Ophrah, and all Israel played the harlot with it there. It became a snare to Gideon and to his house. Thus Midian was subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted their heads no more, and the country was quiet for 40 years in the days of Gideon. The death of Gideon. Gideon had 70 sons who were his own offspring, for he had many wives. Just saying. Abimelech's conspiracy. That's worth a read. The parable of the trees. Downfall of Abimelech. Tola, Tola, who is a son of Pua, the son of Dodo, a man of Ishkar. Jair, Jair. Okay, Jair, a Gileadite, and he judged Israel 22 years. Now he had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys. They also had 30 towns, which are called Havoth Jair to this day, which are the land of Gilead. And Jair died and was buried in Canaan. Israel is oppressed again. Jephthah. This seems to be about a raid, R-A-I-D. Jephthah's vow and victory. Jephthah's daughter. Jephthah's conflict with Ephraim. Isban, Elon, and Abdon. The birth of Samson. Okay, this is where it gets into a time that we've heard about before. Like the story about Samson and Delilah. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move upon him at Mahanadan, between Zorah and Eshtal. This is the Lord blessing Samson. Samson's Philistine wife. Should I read this? Samson's Philistine wife. Okay, moving on. Samson defeats the Philistines. Samson is big. Oh, here we go. Samson and Delilah. Okay. Now Samson went to Gaza and saw a harlot there and went into her. When the Gazites were told Samson had come here, they surrounded the place and lay in wait for him all night at the gate of the city. They were quiet all night, saying, "In the morning, when it is daylight, we will kill him." Samson lay low till midnight. Then he arose at midnight, took hold of the doors of the gate of the city and the two gate posts, pulled them apart, bar and all, put them on his shoulders, and carried them to the top of the hill that faces Hebron. Afterward it happened that he loved the woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, "Entice him and find out where his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower him. And every one of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver." So there's a little conspiracy going on here. So Delilah said to Samson, "Please tell me where your great strength lies, and with what you may be bound to afflict you." And Samson said to her, "If they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings, not yet dried, then I shall become weak and be like any other man." So the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 fresh bowstrings, not yet dried, and she bound him with them. Now men were lying in wait, staying with her in the room, and she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he broke the bowstrings as a strand of yarn breaks when it touches fire, so the secret of his strength was not known. Then Delilah said to Samson, "Look, you have mocked me and told me lies. Now please tell me what you may be bound with." So he said to her, "If you bind me securely with new ropes that have never been used, then I shall become weak and be like any other man." There Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them and said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." And men were lying in wait, staying in the room, but he broke them off his arms like a thread. Delilah said to Samson, "Until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me what you may be bound with." And he said to her, "If you weave the 7 locks of my head into the web of the loom." So she wove it tightly into the batten of the loom and said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he woke up from his sleep and pulled out the batten and the web from the loom. Then she said to him, "How can you say I love you when your heart is not with me?" You have mocked me these 3 times and have not told me where your great strength lies. Okay. And it came to pass when she pestered him daily with her words and pressed him so that his soul was vexed to death, that he told her all his heart and said to her, No razor has ever come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to God from my mother's womb. If I am shaven, then my strength will leave me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. When Delilah saw that he told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up once more, for he has told me all his heart. So the lords of the Philistines came up to her and brought the money to her hand. Then she lulled him to sleep on her knees and called for him and had him shave off the 7 locks of his head. Then she began to torment him, and his strength left him. And she said, The Philistines are upon you, Samson. So he awoke from his sleep and said, I will go out as before at other times and shake myself free. And he did not know that the Lord had departed from him. Then the Philistines took him and put out his eyes and brought him down to Gaza. They bound him with bronze fetters, and he became a grinder in the prison. However, the hair of his head began to grow again after it had been shaven. Wow, what a story. Samson dies with the Philistines. Now the lords of the Philistines gathered together to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon, their god, lowercase, and to rejoice. And they said, Our God has delivered into our hands Samson, our enemy. When the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, Our God has delivered into our hands our enemy, the destroyer of our land, and one who multiplied our dead. Oh, so it happened when their hearts were merry that they said, Call for Samson that he may perform for us. So they called for Samson from the prison, and he performed for them, and they stationed him between the pillars. And Samson said to the lad who held him by the hand, Let me feel the pillars which support the temple, so that I can lean on them. Now the temple was full of men and women. All the lords of the Philistines were there, about 3,000 men and women, on the roof watching while Samson performed. Then Samson called to the Lord, saying, O Lord God, remember me, I pray. Strengthen me, I pray, just this once, O God, that I may with one blow take vengeance on the Philistines for my 2 eyes. And Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars which supported the temple, and he braced himself against them, one on his right and the other on his left. Then Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. And he pushed with all his might, and the temple fell on the lords, lowercase lords, and all the people who were in it. So the dead that he killed at his death were more than he had killed in his life. And the brothers and all his father's household came down and took him and brought him up and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the tomb of his father Manoah. He had judged Israel 20 years. Quite a story, isn't it? You hear about Samson and Delilah. Wow. Okay. Subheading, Micah's idolatry. The Danites adopt Micah's idolatry. Danites settle in Laish. The Levites' concubine. And if you remember, the Levites were the ones that were assigned to management of the tabernacle. And they weren't included in the census. Gibeah's crime, not for children, okay? I'll just move along. Israel's war with the Benjamites. Israel's war with the Benjamites. Another war. And again, this is Judges. When do we get to the Judges? Wives provided for the Benjamites. And this being the last chapter of Judges, wives provided for the Benjamites. Reading the last sentence will give you the indication of how that worked out. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Wowie. Oh, okay, Judges. Just briefly going through this one more time. The continuing conquest of Canaan, incomplete conquest of the land, Israel's disobedience, death of Joshua, Israel's unfaithfulness, the nations remaining in the land, Othniel, Ehud, Shamgar, Deborah, the Song of Deborah, Midianites oppress Israel, Gideon destroys the altar of Baal, which was a good thing, the sign of the fleece, Gideon's valiant 300, Gideon subdues the Midianites, Gideon's ephod, sorry, I gotta know what ephod means if it's in here. Hang on. It's not in here. Okay. Death of Gideon, Abimelech's conspiracy, downfall of Abimelech, Tola, Jer, Israel oppressed again, Jephthah's vow and victory, Jephthah's daughter, Jephthah's conflict with Ephraim, Ibzan, Elon, and Abdon, the birth of Samson, Samson's Philistine wife, Samson defeats the Philistines. Samson and Delilah. This is in Judges. Samson dies with the Philistines. Micah's idolatry. The Danites adopt Micah's idolatry. Idolatry. You know, the golden calf, the that kind of thing. Danites settle in Laish, which is a city. Levites, the Levites' concubine. Gibeah's crime. Israel's war with the Benjamites. Wives provided for the Benjamites. And that's the final chapter, ending again with the last sentence. In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Oh boy. Okay, so that was well, it's like this story goes on and on and on, years and years and years, and it's a fight, and it has to do with land and the treatment of people and the women, and there were no, it's like there were no, well, there were rules, but they weren't following them. They weren't following them. Anyway, Judges. The next book is going to be Ruth. And I'll pick that up when I'm moved to do that. I love it when he says it's time. I wanted to also say that in Genesis, going back to Genesis, Genesis, of course, talks about Noah's flood. And I don't know if you're familiar with Noah's deliverance. Here we go. Noah's, the Great Flood. Genesis 7, the Great Flood. I'm sorry to go back a little ways, but I found my video. Can't see it. There we go. Is Genesis history. Get a hold of this. I've watched this so many times. This is, well, it gives you the scientific reasons why the earth is what it is, and the flood not being a local flood, it was a worldwide flood. And I highlighted some of this. God had said, I will cause it to rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, 17th day of the month, and so forth, the flood was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted up the ark. The waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. It goes on and on and on. And this video is, can't see it. This video right here is Genesis history. Just squares it all away for you. Gives you the truth, and it's all right there in writing. Anyway, I appreciate you. I appreciate being able to do this. I'm enjoying it. I love how I'm totally absorbed in doing this project, and hoping that, I'll say it again, you never know when you're going to be called home. I don't know when I'm going to be called home, but I wanted to leave something for others that gives them a better look at what the Bible is all about. Okay? So I will sign off. God bless you. I love you very much. And I will see you when I read the book of Ruth. See you then.